In the Middle-earth strategy battle game, there are over 100 heroes to choose from. And in this video, we're going to be breaking down my picks for the top 10 strongest heroes in the game. This is Conquest Creations, my name's Jacob Lucas, and let's get straight into this list. To start off, in the number 10 place, I've chosen Aomer. Aomer is just solid all around in his stat line. He comes in with Fight 6, 3 attacks, 3 wounds, 3 might, 3 will, 3 fate, as well as defense 7. So he's pretty tanky, and you're pretty much always going to be throwing him onto an armored horse. He can use his fate points to help keep his horse alive, so he's going to stay mounted much longer than other heroes could. He's not that expensive, coming in at 150 points fully kitted out, which, look, it is a lot, but you're getting a lot of bang for your buck here, and it's less than some of the other big heroes. For that price, he's able to dish out an insane amount of damage. Aomer is holding the sword Gulthwine, which means that each time he rolls a 6 to wound, he gets to make another attempt at doing a wound. So this just means he can increase his potential damage output by quite a lot. Now, on the surface, he is just strength 4. You know, with 3 attacks, on the charge that goes to 4 attacks, knocking down, that's rolling 8 dice, but against a lot of opponents, he's still needing 6s to wound. But that's where the army bonuses come into it. In almost every way that you're going to be playing Aomer, Rohan Cavalry get +1 strength on the charge. So when he's charging, most of the time hitting strength 5 is really helpful. And on top of that, in a lot of the armies, he's getting access to free heroic combats. All of his army bonuses are typically boosting him quite a bit. Aomer fits into a ton of army lists, and he's just good in every single one of them. So that's why he's my 10th pick. Number 9 goes to Gloin, the champion of Erebor. And this guy is really solid. He comes in with Fight 6, Strength 4, Defense 8, 3 attacks base, but we'll get to that in a sec. With 2 wounds, 3 might, 2 will, and 3 fate, he's got a solid stat line. Now, Gloin comes into his own when we have a look at his special rule. If he's outnumbered in combat, he gets an additional attack. That means that Gloin is one of the very few models in this game that can be rolling 4 attacks. And with those 4 attacks, he's able to do a lot of damage because he has a 2-handed weapon. Now, he must 2-hand, and some people might see this as a bit of a negative because you get -1 on that dual roll unless you roll a 6. Now, if you have 4 attacks and you've got a banner round, you've got 5 dice to roll to get a 6, so you still have decent odds, and even if you don't roll that 6, you still have a chance of winning the fight, and it gives you that +1 to wound, so he's putting out a ton of damage. But once again, Gloin is getting better thanks to the army bonuses that come with him. If you play him in the Erebor Reclaimed army list, not only does he also gain reroll 1s to wound, which when you're already having +1 to wounds has a much bigger effect, but he also gets the ability to share stats with his brother Oin. Now, I think Oin is really good and worth taking anyway. He's kind of a pseudo banner effect, and he can heal models as well as having a bit of a master battle. But this isn't about Oin, this is about Gloin. But Gloin can take his resources. So that effectively can put Gloin up to 4 might with 4 fate, and Oin has 5 will, so 7 will, so he's super hard to shut down. And again, Oin's someone you a lot of the time want in your army anyway, so it's a really good way to boost Gloin even further. Also in that army list, you can take Ori, who is almost an auto-include, who can negate the effects of the negative effects of the 2-handed weapons, that is. So then Gloin's just rocking around with +1 to wound baked in. So that makes him super lethal. There is one other way to play him that's really good, which is in the army of Erebor, where if he's within 3 inches of Gimli, he gets re-roll failed wounds, which just is crazy, putting out so much damage. He's still tanky, so he doesn't just die from 1 hit. I've used him a lot so far, and I really like him. Pretty much every single game he's in, he's one of the MVPs. That takes us into the 8th place, which I'm going to give to Círdan. Círdan is one of the Elven Lords in Middle-earth, and we very briefly see him in the film, so he did sneak into the armies of Lord of the Rings book. This guy's only 75 points, and oh, for 75 points, you are getting so much value. Firstly, his stat line, completely unimpressive. He's unarmed. I think he's Fight 6, which is still good, but he's like 1 attack, defense 4, 2 wounds, 1 fate. So he can certainly die really easily. But the key thing is he's got that 4 will. He's got a special rule that gives him an extra point of will per turn. And then all of his value is contained in his spells. Now, Kyodan is a support character through and through. So on his own, he's kind of cool, but he's not going to make that huge of a difference. But when you pair him with other big characters that are able to do some damage, that's when he gets good. The two spells that he's going to be casting the most are Enchanted Blades, which just increases the lethality of a character that he's with, so that's why he's supporting someone else. So it's someone like a Glorfindel that gives him reroll failed wounds, which is a big deal when Glorfindel's charging in. And the other spell that really elevates Kyodan on this list is Call Winds. Call Winds is incredible. He casts on a 4+, but he gets that free point of will per turn, and he has 4 in the bank. So you have a lot of opportunities to put this out. If you successfully cast it, your target is blasted D3 plus 3 inches backwards and then knocked prone. So that's a long way pretty much. And the key thing is if that opponent is in combat, it can blow them out of combat or it can just knock them prone in combat. I was playing a game against a Kyodan where I had my champions of Erebor all fighting Glorfindel, and he just Call Winds on Dual and blasted him back out of combat, so he wasn't fighting that turn. So it took him out of the game for 3 turns, which is insanely powerful. I'm just going to quickly interrupt to tell you about the Conquest Creations library of wargaming terrain STL files. Over on our website, we have an absolute bucket of STL files, all perfectly optimized to play in your war games. We have a ton of fun putting these together here at Conquest Creations. And here at Conquest, we are now a 3-man team, and it all comes from people supporting the channel by buying those STL files. So if you want to see our videos keep growing and keep getting better in terms of their production, and you want to get yourself some awesome wargaming scenery at the same time, then check out our website. We've also got a Patreon, and it's a really exciting time to join the Patreon because if you join right now, you're going to get the Mountain Peak set, and then on the 1st of September, you're also going to get the Realm of the Bear Lord. I absolutely love this set. It's probably one of my favorite ones that I've put together in a long time. It's very whimsical and colorful while still being deeply embedded in fantasy. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. You're going to see me playing on it a ton over the next little while. All right, let's get back to the video. My pick for number 7 goes to the Dragon. These guys come in at 200 points, but they only start at 200 points and then they can take 50-point upgrades. Usually you can only take a maximum of 2 of these upgrades, unless you're in the Dragons of the North list, in which case you can take 3 on one of your dragons. But yeah, 200 points, you're usually going to be running these guys at 300 points because you'll take those 2 upgrades, and they're seriously good. They come in with Fight 8, a 2+ shoot value, which is really important, Strength and Defense of 7, which is insanely high, 4 attacks, and then 7 wounds. Wow. They've also got 3 Might, Will, and Fate, so they are heroes. They have the Monster keyword, so they have access to all the brutal power attacks, and they have the Monstrous Charge special rule, so you've got 4 attacks base. If you charge in, that goes up to 5 attacks, which is crazy, and then you can knock your opponent down, which means you can make 10 strikes all at strength 7. So there's not very many heroes in the game that can survive being charged by a dragon and losing that fight, because they're about to flash kill just about everything. On top of that, it's got Dominant 5 with Harbinger of Evil and Terror, so it's hard to get your troops into it. And if you ever do get it totally surrounded and you're ready to get the kill with heaps of heroes and troops, it has a heroic defense that it can pop, meaning you can only wound it on natural 6s if it spends that point it might, so sometimes it can just get a get out of jail free card. It's got 5 upgrades. One of them is Fly, which of course increases its move from 6 inches to 12 inches. And for me personally, I think I'm going to take this 100% of the time that I take a dragon. I understand that there's some dragons that like live in caves and stuff and they're not doing a heap of flying, and I think in the lore some of them don't even have wings necessarily. But when I think of dragons, they're flying around with wings, so I'm taking Fly every single time. I also think it's a good idea. The next one is Breathe Fire, which is the next one that I'm going to take every single time because dragons fly and breathe fire in my head. That's just what a dragon is, and that's what I want to do. And Breathe Fire is by far the best one of its upgrades. It works like a bow with 12-inch range, so if you move half, you get -1 to hit. You've got a 2+ shoot value, so it's pretty good. Or if you stay still, you hit on 2, so it's really good. The model that you hit and all models within 2 inches of them suffer a Strength 10 hit. There are very, very few things in this game that do Strength 10 hits. But that's not all. It also causes auto death if it does a wound. Now heroes can prevent this with fate, but if you're someone like a Mordor Troll, yeah, you're just gone straight away. So it's incredibly powerful. No surprise to see it on this list. There's a couple other upgrades. You can do Tough Hide, which can give you defense and wounds of 9. You can give Worm Magic, which gives you a couple spells and a free point of will per turn. Or you can do Superior Intellect, where you can reroll failed intelligence checks, and every time you spend a might on a 4-up, it's free. All of them are good. I think that there is some discussion on which ones to take. For me, it's always going to be Fly and Breathe Fire. But if you play in the Dragons of the North, you can't take dragons with identical upgrades, so it kind of pushes you into doing some more unique and cool stuff, which I actually really like, because 3 dragons with Fly and Breathe Fire at 900 points seems like it maybe wouldn't be that fun to play against. Now, everything I've just described is absolutely spectacularly powerful. So there is a catch. Dragons have the Survival Instinct special rule, which means each time they take a wound, they must pass a courage test. If they fail that courage test, the dragon flees the board. It's dead, gone, removed. And they're only courage 6+, which isn't fantastic. It's very failable, and especially if someone has a Harbinger of Evil around, going to a 3+ is really bad. So you need to be careful with your dragons. You can't afford to cop easy wounds, and you need to save your might and will just in case you roll poorly on that courage test. Despite that, I still think they're fantastic. In 6th place, we've got a hero that I don't think is going to surprise anyone. It is Legolas. Legolas is absolutely fantastic. His stat line is kind of just fine. He's fight 6, shoots on a 2+, which is, you know, his whole thing, so that's good. Strength 4, defense 4, you can get him some armor, so you're usually playing him at defense 5. Just 2 wounds and 2 attacks. He's got 3, 2, 3 for his might, will, and fate. And obviously his special rules are what's going to bring him into being really, really good. Of course, Legolas has an elven bow, and his special rule allows him to shoot 3 times. That makes sense. He shoots a lot of guys in the films. I'm all for it. He can also shoot even if he's engaged in combat, which is really cool. So if you charge him with 1 orc, there's a chance he just shoots that orc out, so you don't even get to fight him. He just kills you before the combat even happens. But he can also still shoot at other targets. So if you think, oh, I've charged him, so I'm safe, I'm not going to get hit by him, well, he can still just shoot at other people that he's not fighting at, and then in the combat phase, fight the guy that he is fighting. He also doesn't suffer the -1 to hit if he moves half and shoots, and he has one more special rule where if an enemy model is fighting one of your friendly models, then Legolas can shoot at that model still. So usually good guys can't shoot into combat, but Legolas can. If he hits, it automatically goes through all the in the ways, and you just roll straight to wound. He's also got the Sharpshooter special rule, so he can target down enemy heroes' horses. So yeah, he's just an ultimate utility piece, and it's really hard to do anything to stop him without just throwing a ton of guys at him and hoping that you can kill him. In 5th place, we've got a fun one. We've got one that I don't think anyone else would have in their top 10 lists, and feel free to disagree with me in the comments on this, but I actually really stand by this choice. So far, all of the heroes that we've seen have been either 100 points or more. This one is not that. This one's only 20 points. And that goes to Lobelia Sackville Baggins. Yes, you heard that right. And if you've read the books, you know who Lobelia is. We get a brief glimpse of her at the end of the Hobbit film. And yeah, it turns out she's really incredibly powerful. Her stat line isn't. She's got a 4-inch move. She's got fight 2. She has 1 wound, 1 attack, 1 fate, 4 points of will. She has an umbrella as her war gear, and it says that if she wins the fight, she can't strike blows. So all of that is bad. And even for 20 points, that's bad. So let's have a look at her special rules, which are what take her to the next level. We've got a Furious Tirade, which is one of her special rules where enemy models within 6 inches of her cannot benefit from Stand Fast. So if you break your enemy and she's standing in the middle of a bunch of warriors, it doesn't matter if there's other heroes keeping them around with Stand Fast, those warriors all have to take courage tests. Now that one's pretty good, but really, that's just the little bonus on top. Because her real special rule that makes her so powerful for 20 points is a Stern Scolding. She can choose 1 enemy model within 6 inches of her and line of sight, and she spends a point of will, and on a 2+, that enemy model cannot activate for the turn. This is like having a 2+ transfix that you cannot resist. It's that good. It also reduces that enemy model's attacks to 1 for the turn, so if they're already in combat, if it's like an Aragon who's charged in on a horse, you can snap his attacks down to 1, which is pretty handy. It's just really so incredibly powerful, and there's almost nothing you can do about it. You obviously can kill Lobelia, and you can shoot a bunch of bows at her, which can definitely work, but generally by this Shy list, you're going to be outshot, and she's going to be sitting at the back, staying safe, so yeah. It's really, really incredibly good. It doesn't work on monsters, chariots, or war beasts, I think is the other one, but that doesn't matter. It's shutting down heroes still. She's so good. Next up, in 4th place, we've got Bjorn, the big bear man. He comes in at 200 points, and he starts the game as a man who has, a decent profile, but nothing worth 200 points, and that's because basically every single turn 1 that you play with Bjorn, he is going to transform into his bear form, and his bear form is where he's going to spend 99% of his time. He gets Fight 8, Strength 8, Defense 8, 3 attacks, 3 wounds, 3 might, will, and fate. Yeah, pretty beastly. He's also rocking Monstrous Charge, so if he charges in, he gets an extra attack and the knockdown, which is, of course, very good. He gets Dominant 5, Resistant to Magic and Terror, making it really, really hard to shut him down. And being a monster, he has access to all the brutal power attacks, so Hurl, Barge, Rend, so yeah. It's just so much utility in one solid model that's difficult to kill, because his defense is so high, he's not really going to cop wounds that often. On top of that, he does have heroic defense, so if there's ever a time where he's totally surrounded, just like the dragon, he can pop that heroic defense and probably survive about anything. He's one of the few models in the game that I don't think is scared about being flash killed, ever. If you play him in the Bjorning's army list, he also gets a 6-up save, which might not sound that good, but it makes a huge difference, because to confirm the kill on him, usually you need to do 6 wounds, so 3 wounds, 3 fate, 6 wounds, and he's gone. But if you're doing 6 wounds, there's probably a chance he's getting a 6, maybe 2 6s in that. So yeah, that can win you games with how good that is, because Bjorn being alive with 1 wound, no fate, is just as deadly as Bjorn with full health. He does have a little bit of a downside. His heroics can't affect other models that aren't Bjorning, so if you're playing him in the Battle of 5 Armies or Radagast Alliance, his might isn't as useful, and he must charge if able to, which gives your opponent some control over him, but ultimately, I think you want this guy to charge a lot. That takes us to the top 3, and before we get into the top 3, I want to quickly shout out 3 heroes that I think deserve an honorable mention. That's Nori the Champion of Erebor. He's not in this list, but boy oh boy he's good. It's Tariel, who's just fantastic all around, and Rutabi, General of the Dragon Legion, who is also really good. Didn't feature in this top 10 list, but it felt hard not to mention them. So in 3rd place, I've got Gwahir. Again, I don't think this is any surprise to anyone who's been playing competitively, but Gwahir is just fantastic. This is an eagle, so he's flying around with 12-inch move. He's got fight value of 8, strength 6 with +1 on the charge if you're playing him in the Eagles army list, defense 8, 3 attacks, 3 wounds, 3 might, 3 will, 3 fate. Now, my little caveat that I'm going to add here is I think he only belongs on this list when he's played in the Eagles Legendary Legion. You can play him in Eagles, Radagast Alliance, Battle of 5 Armies, and Men of the West, and Thorin's Company as well. So 5 lists that you can bring him in. There might be 1 or 2 more there that I left off. And if he's in anything other than Eagles, he's good, but I don't think he's top 10 material. But in Eagles, he's definitely top 3. And the difference of being in the Eagles army list makes is that he gets access to the best, hands down the best special rule in the game, which is Piercing Cry. Once per game, at the start of the move phase, he can declare his Piercing Cry. And that means that models within 6 inches of him, enemy models within 6 inches of him, cannot move that turn. Absolutely massive, as I said, best special rule in the game. You pair that with him having heroic defense as well, and it just makes him really, really difficult to kill. And with fly, he can get out of trouble really quickly. Yeah, all around fantastic assassination piece, or just going in and killing everything piece. He's just good. Number 2 goes to a character that I don't think many other people will have on their list. It's not a character that is played often. It's Gandalf the Grey, but Gandalf the Grey specifically riding his cart in the Shire army list. That's right, you might not have seen this guy. Hopefully you have. He's pretty characterful. It's a fantastic model. And yeah, it's really good. Let's go through why. So Gandalf the Grey's stat line is fine. It's just he's a wizard. You know, he has 2 attacks this edition, which is nice. He's strength 5 as well, so he can actually do some killing. He's got the 3 might, 6 will, and 3 fate, which is really nice. He can reroll all his failed fate, and in the Shire list, he gets +1 to that fate, so he's pretty durable. He's got 8 spells, which is just a bucket of options, but his bread and butter are going to be Transfix for shutting down heroes, and Sorcerous Blast for doing damage, but also mainly shutting down heroes. And if it was just that, for 170 points, he's fine. I don't think he's fantastic, but, you know, he's good. But what puts him all the way from like a mid-tier hero to 2nd place on my list of top 10 heroes is his cart. His cart allows him to shoot fireworks, and in the Shire army list, he can shoot 2 fireworks per turn. They have to be different fireworks, and they can't be choosing the same person. And with his fireworks, he's got a few options. He's got 4 options, I believe. One of them is a strength 2 hit. Cool, not a big deal. I can take a strength 2 hit, that's fine. You have to roll a dice on a 2-up. It hits. All of these activate on a 2-up. The next one is it knocks you prone. You choose a model, and it knocks you prone. Nothing you can do to stop that, nothing you can do to resist it, you're prone. The other one is it gives you -1 in the fight phase. So if you're a troll, you roll your 3 attacks. Oh, you got a 6, you'd think you win. No, you're on -1 down to a 5. And he has a once per game one called the big one that knocks you prone and does a strength 8 hit. Now these fireworks, they go in the shooting phase, and they have a 6-inch range, and they don't have in the ways or anything like that. So they're incredibly difficult to avoid. There's almost nothing that you can do to avoid them, and that's probably a bit of a theme with all of these heroes on my top 10 list. Not all of them, but a lot of them have things that you just can't avoid. They have abilities that just work, and here's the ultimate example of that. So between his 2 fireworks and his ability to cast spells, he's got the opportunity to shut down 3 heroes per turn, and if he's not shutting down 3 heroes per turn, he's having a ton of redundancy on just one target. If it's like an Aragon King LSR charging in 250 points, he tries to transfix him. Oh no, Aragon resisted it. That's okay, I'm going to shoot him with a firework, knock him prone, he's off his horse, he's down on the ground, he's not killing anyone. And then if I win a heroic move, roll off next turn and charge into him, he's still on the ground. Well, if he hasn't stood up, which he probably will when he wins a fight. But yeah, just the redundancy and the inability for your opponent to counter him makes him very powerful. And that goes into the top 1 character on this list. And before we get there, I'm going to say, what are your thoughts? What characters do you think I've missed out? What belongs on this list that I've kind of looked over? What have I put on this list that just doesn't deserve to be here? I'll respond to all the comments. I love having a discussion, so please let me know down below. The final one, again, I don't think this is going to surprise anyone. It's Saruman. And I'm going to do a little asterisk here and say Saruman and Grima, because you're always taking Grima if you take Saruman, in the evil side at least. He's just so good that they're kind of a package that come together. You technically don't have to, but every single time people do, so I'm lumping them in together, Saruman and Grima. Now I'm going to do what I did with Gandalf and say that he's only this #1 spot in a certain army list, and that is Army of the White Hand. I'll quickly go through Grima first. His stat line, pretty atrocious, but it doesn't matter because you can deploy him as a part of your opponent's army. They can't kill him, he can move through their models, and if he is within 6 inches of a hero, it costs that hero 2 points might to call a heroic action instead of just 1. So he leeches resources, and there's basically nothing your opponent can do to counter it. He can get killed by wizards with aggressive magic, but that's it. And then it gets to Saruman. Oh boy, he has the special rule, Saruman's Deceit, where he chooses an enemy hero at the start of the game, and that enemy hero gets -1 on resist test, so it's really hard to resist his magic. He's got a bunch of spells. His bread and butter are going to be Compel, so he can move a model half. He can transfix them, so he can just stop them from doing anything, and he does have Sorcerous Blast for a little bit of aggressive magic as well, and this just gives you so much control over the battlefield. But on top of that, in the Army of the White Hand, any friendly models that can draw line of sight can get +1 to their courage tests. Fantastic. He can draw line of sight from Crebain, so you just can't hide from him. And then he gets his magical superpowers, pretty much, which in this list he gets 3 once per game spells that auto cast. The first one is a lightning bolt, which you choose a point on the board, and every enemy model within 2 inches of it suffers a strength 6 hit. There's no resistance, it's just bang, you get struck by lightning. You can't call it if you have friendly models within 12 inches of that point, but you do this early game. It's generally a turn 1 or 2 thing, where you just go in and do some cheap damage. it's free and it's really good. You can snipe off heroes' horses, you can kill banners, any other tech units you can take down, like sentinels, things like that, even drummers. Yeah, really, really powerful. The next one is Galing Wind, which once per game, you can declare the Galing Wind, and they happen instead of his spell, so it's when he activates, and that halves the movement value of every model in your opponent's army. Wow, that is spectacularly good. The last one is something along the lines of like Thunderous Clap. Could have looked it up, but it's Thunderous something. He calls the thunder, and it gives every enemy model fearful. So they have to pass a courage test in order to charge. And yeah, that one's probably the least exciting of the three, but it's also very good. Again, you can't really counter that. I mean, having high courage is good, but you've got to take those courage tests. So that's my list. That's the top 10. Thank you for listening to me. Once again, leave your thoughts down in the comments below. And until next time, have a good one.